Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you stopped by today. Today is an exciting day, and I know I say that all the time, but it's always exciting when it comes to gardening. But today is exciting because I'm one step closer to planting the summer garden. Today I have my husband with me. We are in the tunnel. We are doing the final, when I say final things to do to get ready so that we can plant the summer garden in the tunnel. So if you are brand new here, we live in Tennessee in zone 7B. For the last 10, 11 weeks, we have been starting seeds every single week. I have a whole playlist about the seeds that we started every single week, and I've been taking my community along with me. And now it is 2 weeks away from our last frost date, and we are getting ready to start planting the summer garden. So in case you're wondering why we're planting 2 weeks ahead of schedule, so to speak, well, we are right now, I'm standing in my high tunnel. We have a high tunnel that is 30 by 96. And so in this tunnel, we have 6 raised beds, and then we also have 5 rows in ground that are 45 feet long. That is what we call space number 1. We plant in here 24/7, 365. So we are always growing in here all year long. So this will be the first place planted for the summer. One, because we have protection, right? And so if, let's say it dips down to like 45, I'm more okay with the stuff that's going to be in here versus outside. Then our second space is actually outside. We have an in-ground garden that is 4,000 square feet. We have 8 rows that are 100 feet each. And so we will plant that second, and that will be planted in a couple of weeks after the last frost date. And then we have a space in the back of our house, which is where my garden started. And we have 5 raised beds back there. And that will be the third space we plant for the summer, which is in June. So as you follow this journey, you'll be able to see us plant each and every space. You'll see us harvest each and every space. And you'll see how we grow enough food for our family all throughout the year. But the summer is the busiest time of the year because we have all 3 spaces going. So the first thing that we're going to do today, we have, like I said, 6 raised beds. We are getting the last 2 raised beds amended. So if you've been following the journey, you've seen me amend the other bed. So let's turn our attention to this bed here that we're about to amend and get set up so that it's ready to plant. Okay guys, so in this bed, you saw on a few videos ago, I had started to amend this bed, and then the weather made me run in the house, and then also I could not lift up the bag of compost. So my husband's out here, like I said, he's helping me today to do the final push, and he is just laying compost all in this bed. So if you missed it, I already put amendments in here. We did worm castings and we did feather meal. In this bed right now are carrots, cilantro, and dill. And so those are more what I call spring crops, because the carrots will harvest. As you can see, they are probably halfway there. So we'll be harvesting those in the next, I would say, 6 weeks or so. And then the dill and the cilantro will usually last until the end of May. So I have a couple of months on those. But then after that, this will be planted with summer stuff. Or I shouldn't say after that. Because I have open space in here, then we will plant the middle part with summer veggies. So we are amending this bed and getting it ready. He's just going to spread that compost all around and get it all smooth and ready to go. Okay guys, so the next bed we're going to do, this is the last bed. In this bed is where we had our cabbage. We had green cabbage and red cabbage. And so we are going to amend this bed from the very beginning. So in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to show you this process again. Before my husband put the compost in, I'm going to actually amend this bed with the nutrients that it needs. The first thing we're going to do is he's going to remove the drip lines and move those back. And then we'll finish weeding this bed. The only thing that's in this bed right now is lettuce that's still good. We'll keep her, but we will take out those weeds in that far right corner and move the drip lines. And then we will amend this bed, and I'll come back and tell you what we're going to put in here. So the first step before we amend the bed is get the drip tape up, like I said, weed it, and get the plant debris. Now, the plant debris that's in there, you know, some of it could stay because it's just going to be composted down to organic matter. These are just old leaves from the plants that were there before, but we're trying to clear it out as much as possible. I noticed that the soil level is a bit low. Now, can I still plant in it? I can, but we're going to go ahead after we get this cleaned up and add a bag of potting soil just to bring the level up to where it's a little bit higher. Okay guys, so on this bed, I'm gonna actually add some soil just because it's a little low. It would be fine if I still wanted to plant, but every so often when it gets low, I just like to add some soil. Although 1 bag of soil doesn't do that much, it at least will help. And that soil that I'm using is Coast of Maine, which I've used before. It's really, really good. There's only 3 or 4 different kinds of soil that I use, and I've told you about those before. So the main soils I will use are Bacto, Happy Frog, Coast of Maine, and then Ocean Forest. Those are the 4 soils that I have used, have had great results, and that I trust. I'm not saying that that's what you have to do, but when you ask me what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. So he is adding that soil in, and then what I'm going to add in terms of amendments are the same thing that I added to that bed. I'm going to be adding feather meal. I'm going to be using feather meal this whole entire season, and you'll see me using it in here and out there, because based on my soil test, and I did a whole video about soil testing, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it, because that's the difference between good and great. Good results, great results. You have to know your soil, and you have to amend it accordingly. My soil is very, very deficient in nitrogen, extremely deficient. It is low, and so I know that because my soil test told me so. So I am going to be amending all of my spaces and putting in feather meal, which is a slow release nitrogen. There are other things that you can use, but this is the one that I'm choosing to use that I've had great results with. And so you will see me doing that over and over. So I'm going to be adding feather meal to this bed. I'm also going to be adding azomite to this bed, which are trace minerals. And so trace minerals are the things like your macronutrients, your boron, your zinc, your manganese, your magnesium. Those are what we call micronutrients, versus your macronutrients are nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. So azomite is a great one to add. I always add it before the summer. And then I will add worm castings, and I will probably add, I think I'm out of trifecta, so I don't think I'm gonna be adding trifecta today. I need to order some more trifecta. But though that's the base of what I'm going to be adding today in these beds. And I came on saying I only had 2 beds to amend, and that was actually incorrect. I actually have 1, 2, 4 beds to amend. I wasn't thinking, because 2 of the beds, they still have the fall winter stuff in them, but I'm gonna go ahead and amend them so that when I pull those crops out, they're ready for the summer. Now I just want to say this, because let me go over here and see if I can get in the shot. I say this all the time, but y'all, soil matters. I don't know if you can see this, but I wish you could feel it. This soil is so light and fluffy, like it is just going through my fingers. It does not have a lot of bark in it at all. Honey, when you felt that, it did not feel like great soil?
Yeah, great soil.
Y'all who buying the MG, you know what I'm talking about. It don't do that. You can buy cheaper soil. I'm telling you, it makes a difference. Now you do what you can do. Will it grow plants? It will grow plants. I'm not saying that this is the only soil that will grow plants, but I am telling you there is a difference when you buy premium soil versus cheaper soil. I'm gonna let that marinate. I'm gonna leave that there, and we're gonna keep them in this bed. Okay guys, unfortunately I'm out of compost. This happens on the regular, just because I can only get so much at one time. But this bed is halfway done. You can see the back half. We need another bag of compost to finish this bed. And then the other 2 beds, I will do them at a later time. Right now, it's this bed right here that has the kale. Right now it's fine, it has the kale and the lettuce. The kale will probably be out here for another, I would say, 3 weeks or so, and then I'll pull it out and we'll get that bed ready. And then this last bed right here which has the bok choy in it. So it'll be ready before it's time to plant. We just ran out of compost. So we got 4 out of the 6 beds done. That one's done. Of course, that one's done because we already planted it. We just did that one. And then that one is done as well. It has our potatoes in it. Okay, y'all, this is a quick commercial break. Let me show you. Now, y'all saw my, let me see, it's probably 2 or 3 videos ago. I showed you me amending my blueberry bushes. And a few of y'all went in and told me how bad my stuff looked. You know what? That's okay. I can take feedback. But I just want to show you this. This is the bed in the middle. Look. It has green on it. Don't that mean something good? That means it's still alive, right? Because it wasn't on there before. Now, this one still not doing anything. And that one's not doing anything. But this one, y'all, something is growing. Okay, y'all, so our next project is cleaning up all of this to get this space ready for the summer garden. So we have kale, we have collards, as you can see. They have bolted major. I've never let my collards get like this, but you know what? It is what it is. So one of the first things we're going to do is I'm going to harvest what I can, but also we're going to get up all of these frost covers. So one of the things about the weather, let me tell you this. Okay, so first of all, I was giving myself a really hard time about these collard greens because I don't like to waste food. But y'all, it just, something kept happening where I could not get out here to get these collards. So I was looking up to see, well, how long before they go bitter? I don't know if they go bitter as soon as they bolt. They have probably been bolted now. Like they started bolting and I was snipping it off. But they've been like this in this state for probably about a good 5 to 7 days. So almost a week. I have one that has not bolted, so I'm going to get those leaves first. What I don't want to harvest all of them and put them in my freezer and then 2 months later cook the collard greens and they're bitter and I'm like, oh, I was dependent on that for a meal. That's what I don't want. So that's what keeps me from getting all of them. So I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do as I'm doing it. But I'm definitely gonna get the ones that do not have any bolting going on. And then now my kale is starting to bolt, which is very unusual. My kale usually doesn't bolt. But we've had such extreme temperature fluctuations. It's not even funny. And I'm not as sad. I mean, y'all know I love collard greens and I love to have those in my freezer. I've realized that I prefer kale more raw. I've eaten a ton of kale salad over the fall and the winter, so I will miss it, but we have had tons of kale. When I say tons. And so I may put some in my freezer to mix in with collard greens or even to do like a sauteed kale, but I prefer it raw in a kale salad. I guess I could use it for soups and I could use it for smoothies. So I will put some in my freezer and go ahead and harvest it. And then I have a customer who wants to buy some. So I'll harvest that for her. And I'll keep the kale out here, especially the ones that's not bolted, for another 2 to 3 weeks until they got to be evicted. Because where the kale is on this side, that's where the peppers are going. And it may be another week or 2 before I put the peppers out. But everything else that is in the ground that I know is not going to make it, we're going to pull it up. We're going to get up all the white cover. Now, let me tell you about the temperature. So the temperature has been so crazy here, such fluctuations. Over the past week and a half, we have had a tornado watch literally every other day. We have had heavy thunderstorms. We have had 85-degree weather. It has been insane. But for the next few days, it's supposed to get cold again, like low 30s at night. But I will close up the greenhouse and all of the stuff is in here will be fine. So I don't need the covers at all. It's only going to be 2 nights. It's going to be 31 one night and then 34 the next night. And then it gets up to 40 after that. So we're going to go ahead and pull up all the covers and that space will be done. So it looks a mess right now, but we're about to get to it and get it cleaned up. Okay, y'all. So this one right here has not bolted. So I think she's going to be fair game. So we're going to go ahead and harvest that. She looks great. And this whole plant, that's going to be a lot of collard greens. So let's get to it. Okay, guys, so I have 3 baskets. I have 2 baskets of collards, 1 basket of kale, and that's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do for many reasons. But what my husband's been doing, he's been going around trying to weed in between the beds and stuff and just try to get it to clean up a little bit. And so I think what we're going to focus on next is getting these covers up. That'll make it look a little cleaner just without them all being on the ground, and we keep stepping on them anyway. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then I'm also going to be taking up some of this stuff that's in the ground. This is the broccoli, my second round of broccoli that I did. It's not doing anything. And so it's about to be evicted because it's not going to have time to do anything in the next 2 weeks. So we're just going to pull all this up. You can see it's as small as it was when I put it out there, almost basically. So we're going to start, when we start pulling up stuff, we're going to start on this side right here because that's where the tomatoes are going to go. On this day, doing the covers, it ended up being a more tedious task than I thought. And I didn't realize we had so many covers down. So we get it all done. But it did not go as quick as I had it in my mind. It probably took us maybe 30, 40 minutes. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, 4 rows, 4 covers. But I didn't realize or didn't remember that we had like 2 covers per row. So yeah. So anyway, we just decide to chit chat and talk while we're doing this and try to make the best use while we can, and just know that, okay, once we're done with this, we're done until, the winter. So it's been a busy ride. It's been a good ride, but I was happy to get all these covers put up and, eventually put away. Okay, guys, we've gotten up all of the covers. So we're making progress. Now we're trying to get these collard greens, or I shouldn't say we, my husband. And the roots are so big. Let me show you. Look at that. Bring it over here, honey. And he said this one is small compared to some of them. Look how big that is. Pull up one of those other big ones.
Let's see.
But y'all, these collard greens have been in here since September. So 7 months. Look at this. Look how big that is. That is massive. So while my husband is doing the heavy lifting, I'm going to pull up the things that are very, very small, and try to get that cleared out. When I just repeated how long these collard greens have been in here, from September until now, 7 months, I don't feel as bad about getting rid of them. When I tell you we have harvested so many collard greens, I have done at least 3 big, huge dinner parties and served collard greens. Plus what my family's eating, like, it has been a ton, an absolute ton. So I cannot complain about the harvest. The only thing was just not having all of this to put in my freezer. But I did 8 gallon freezer bags a couple of weeks ago. What I picked today is probably another 8 gallons. So we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. So let me get the rest of pulling up the stuff that I can pull. Y'all, look at the collard greens on this side. I have never, ever, ever seen this on collard greens. It's almost like flaky salt, but at the same time, it kind of looks like powdery mildew, except when I've seen powdery mildew on squash, it looks more like this, where it's like a powder all over, versus on some of these leaves, that looks like particles. Have y'all ever seen this and know what it is? I have never, ever, ever seen this at all. But it's going away. I'm definitely glad I wasn't pulling these. I think the ones that I got did not have them on there, and they hadn't bolted. But this is new. I've never seen that before. Okay, guys, we are making progress, even though it may not completely look like it. But this row is pretty much completely empty. We have a few things right there that I can pull up, and then we have these collard greens here. That's where I showed you the powdery stuff. He's pretty much got most of this row done. He has 2 or 3 right there, and then the rest of this row is complete. This last row on the far end is complete. So we don't have much more to go. And then of course it looks better even with all of the covers taken up. So much better. We are on the way. So let me tell you what the plans are for this space right here. So in terms of the in-ground space in the tunnel, I am rotating my crops. I do that every year. So on this side last year were the tomatoes, so I will flop it and put the tomatoes on the right side. Then the peppers will go over here. So we'll have 2 rows of tomatoes here. We'll be doing a mixture of hybrid tomatoes that's specifically for the greenhouse, as well as some other tomatoes. And then over here, we have 3 rows. That'll be 2 rows of peppers. We'll also have some eggplant in there. And then we will also have some cucumbers. So that's what's going to be on this side. So once we get everything pulled up, the next step after that is to blow like all of the trash out and get all the trash and the debris out so that it's completely clean. And then the first thing that we're going to plant is this 2 side with the tomatoes. And so I will go through and we will use my husband's auger to make the holes deeper. And then we will also amend each hole with feather meal, compost, and worm castings in each hole so that it has some slow release nitrogen. And so then we're ready to plant. So that's going to be the next step after we get all this cleaned out. But I want to say thank you guys so much for joining me today as we hung out in the tunnel. This is the part that it's not sexy. It's not beautiful. It's just the grunt work that has to be done when you're having a garden. You have to maintain season to season. And again, if we're going to grow year round, this is the part that comes with it. You know, pulling up all the covers because we don't need them anymore, and just, you know, trying to get it in a place where we can plant again. So again, I hope that you guys are doing well. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe so that you can continue to see all of the progress this summer as we grow abundantly and have great success. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.